So I want to talk about the anabolic diet today, which it's the diet that I've been following for better part of a year now with some really good results. And if you're not aware of the anabolic diet, it was created by Dr. Di Pasquale or Di Pasquale. I'm not sure how he pronounces it, but he's a doctor. He's been in the business of training powerlifters, nutritionally, powerlifters and bodybuilders for over 20 years. So this guy knows what he's doing. Now, this is an old diet. It's been around since the late 80s or early 90s, and more than likely you've heard either of it or kind of about it. It's a sort of like a cyclical ketogenic diet. It's low carb, very low carb, high fat, moderate or high protein. Right now I'm on a cut. I've been trying to lose weight. I don't need to gain any more weight at this point. I need to lose weight. When I started this diet, I was actually 365 pounds. So in less than a year with this diet, I've dropped over 100 pounds. I'm 257 right now. And it's allowed me to keep my muscle that I've built up over years, of working out, weightlifting, whatnot. I've got probably, I'd say 50 as a maximum, somewhere between 30 and 50 to go to get probably down to around 10% body fat, which is what we're shooting for. So with this diet, I've been able to dramatically reduce fat as well as gain a little bit more muscle. And after we hit our goals, we'll start bulking up again. And that's the cool thing about this diet is you really just adjust your total amount of calories, right? So just adjust them down to lose weight. You can keep everything else the same. You can keep all your macros the same. Adjust it up once you want to start putting on mass. And the goal of this diet is to get you around 10% body fat and keep you there year round. Instead of sort of going up and down where you're bulking and cutting, you're gaining all this body fat and then you look like shit and then you got to cut down. The goal of this diet is so we can keep you at a certain range all year round. It makes it easy for you to get super cut when you want to get super cut, bulk up to around 10-11% body fat, and then cut again. So what is the point of this diet? What is it supposed to do that's different than a normal bodybuilding style diet where you're eating more carbs every single day and you're bulking up with lots of carbs and you're cutting down and you still have a relatively high level of carbs, but not quite as high, and you just cut them down, cycle them down. Well, this attempts to mimic, again, it's the anabolic diet. It attempts to mimic what you would get with, basically steroids, anabolic, right? So to do this naturally, you manipulate hormones with the food you eat. Of course, this isn't going to be near to the scale, right, that you would get with actual pharmaceuticals, but it's a lot safer. And so what it attempts to do is boost testosterone, growth hormone, and control your insulin levels so they rise and stay high and stay low at the right times in order to gain muscle. So again, on this diet, it's very low carb. So that will help control your insulin. But there's refeeds on the weekend, what's known as refeeds in the sort of ketogenic world. If you're following a ketogenic diet, it's going to be called a refeed. Here, it's actually just part of, just part of the plan. If you're on a normal bodybuilding diet, it would be called a cheat day or cheat meal, however you want to look at it. But in this diet, it's part of the plan. You have to eat carbs on the weekend. Now, the way it's described in the book, which I highly suggest that you check out, which I'll have a link to it below if you want to check it out on Amazon. In the book, you have 2 days of refeeds, anywhere between 36 and 48 hours of a refeed. Now, the way I do it right now, because this diet actually allows a lot of leeway for personalization. So the way I do it, I only have 1 day of refeeds because I don't need the carbs, because I still need to drop weight and I want to drop it quicker. I'm still able to keep my muscle on just a 1 day refeed. I don't need to build any muscle right now. We're focusing on cutting, so that's where we're gonna stay. But the way it's described in the book, you'd have 2 days of a refeed. Let me tell you what, when you follow this diet, follow it at least for a month. Do it strict. And let me tell you, after your first couple of refeeds, you may not feel much, but once you really get into this diet and your body has made the metabolic switch, it's made the switch to using fat and pulling from your own fat stores for fuel, and then you carb up on the weekend, oh man, you will feel why this is called the anabolic diet. I mean, you will literally feel your hormones just raging like crazy. And this lasts for for me, it lasts at least 3-4 days. And then it starts to drop off a bit, and then you have your refeed again on the weekend, and it starts all over. I've taken pro hormones in the past, and not the pro hormones of today, but the pro hormones of around 2000, the kind that are now banned, and the kind that, frankly, the kind that worked. The kind today, I feel they may work to a slight extent, but nothing, not even close to the things that actually used to work back in the early 2000s that are now banned. And on this diet, you get that same feeling. You get that rage, you get that rush, you get that focus, and you just get that feeling. I can't really describe it more than that, but you'll know it when you feel it, and you will feel it with this diet. I almost guarantee it. Anyway, another reason that I just do a 1-day carb up is because I know how I am. I don't respond that well to carbs, to eating a lot of carbs. I've done this for a long time. And in the past, I did normal style diets, and they just simply do not work for me. I know you can say all day long, calorie in, calorie out. For the most part, that's true. But when it comes to building muscle, losing fat, losing stubborn fat, not losing a bunch of muscle and having energy, then we've got a whole new conversation that we need to have. And for me, the anabolic diet is the answer. On a normal style diet, we're going to eat oatmeal every day, and you're going to have rice every day and yams and all that stuff that I've done before hundreds of times for years and years. I'd have to cut down to 1,200 calories in order to keep losing, because my metabolism would just stop. It just would not burn any more fat, no matter how low I cut my calories. On this diet with the low carb and the refeeds, you're still getting your carbs, so you don't worry about all that stuff of having to have carbs every day to build muscle. That's BS. But on this diet, right now I'm eating about 2,500 calories a day. I can actually go up a little bit from that. And even eating 2,500 calories a day, I consistently lose 2 pounds a week. Now, on this diet, it's kind of cool, or kind of crazy, I should actually say, that you kind of bounce around. Your weight kind of bounces around. Sometimes it freaks you out a little bit that 1 week you're down 5 pounds. Like literally, I've dropped 5 pounds in a week. And then the next week you're up 3 pounds. And then the next week you're down 7 pounds. And then, you'll have a good month of consistent 2 pounds. And then all of a sudden you're up 2 or 3 pounds again. That happens on this diet, but you're consistently making progress. And if you have enough weight to lose, some of that weight is added body mass, lean body mass, muscle. Now, I'm sure many of you have tried low carb diets in the past. You may say that, hey, I pretty much felt like shit when I was on these things. I didn't have energy to work out. For me, it's just not that way. I've never experienced brain fog. I've never experienced endurance problems at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite for me. When I started again, like really working out, I worked out real hard when I was younger, and then kind of worked out a little bit as I got older and older. And now I started, about a year ago, I started really working out hard again. And starting out, about an hour a day, just working out. Now, following this diet strict, now I work out 3 hours a day. So around 3 hours. It can be 2 to 3 hours. It kind of depends. It's either going to be 1 hour of weights and then 1 hour of P90X. And those are back to back. Or it'll be up to 2 hours of weights, which is about where I am right now. Really just depends on the set range I'm going for that day. And then P90X is always 1 hour, because I cannot stand cardio. I hate cardio. It's the worst thing in the world. So my cardio comes from P90X, because you're just moving around, jumping around like whatever. But even at 3 hours a day on this diet, on a low carb diet, man, I have no endurance problems. In fact, at the end of the workout, I'm like, is that it? I could lift more weights after that. It gives me energy is what it does. It gives me a lot of energy, especially after you have that carb up. I do that 6 days a week. I work out 6 days a week. I only have 1 day of rest every week. That's how I do it. Every single week, 6 days, no problem on this diet. 1 day of rest is when I carb up. So I carb up on that 7th day, which I take as a Saturday. And then Sunday, I start right in again. And Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, absolutely no problem. Say around Thursday or so, you may feel a little tired, but you'd be feeling tired on any diet at all, because you've had no rest. You've been working out 4-5 days straight. So of course you're going to be a little bit tired, but it's nothing like eating a 1,500 calorie diet where you're eating your grains and all this stuff that you supposedly have to build muscle or lose weight, which is just complete bullshit I'll let you check it out on your own. I wouldn't push this diet on anybody. Every body type is definitely different, and this definitely works for me. I would definitely suggest that you check out the anabolic diet, especially if these other diets pushed by all these guys who are on steroids, they keep telling you this is the way you have to eat, this is the way you have to eat, but they never mention, oh yeah, I'm on steroids. They never mention that. When you're on steroids, you can get away with a whole lot more. So I'm just telling you, check out this diet. If the other diets haven't been working for you, or even if they have, you just want to change things up, check out the anabolic diet. Give it at least 2 months, man. Just give it 2 months. I guarantee if you stick with it, if you have the mindset of sticking with it, it's going to work for you. Everybody makes progress on this diet. It says it in the book. Everybody makes progress on this diet. It really comes down to you and how committed you are to do it. I've lost over 100 pounds of fat, kept all the muscle, even built muscle. I can verify that by the scale. I have a scale that measures lean body mass and body fat. So I've got maybe 2 to about 5 months left on this cut, and then I'm going to once I hit about 9%, get ripped up enough, then I'm going to start bulking again, and that will be with the anabolic diet. And all I do again is just raise my calories up, total calories. Everything else stays the same, and like I mentioned, is the so-called cheat days, but the refeeds that are built into this diet. On some diets where you can't have some of the things that you might crave. Well, on this diet, you can have it. You may have to wait a couple days, but you can have it, and you can have it and not feel guilty. I mean, some of these weekends, I'll eat up to 10,000 calories, and I'll just feel like crap by the time I'm done. But you know what? At the end of that week, I've still lost 2 pounds. That's how this diet works. It works consistently. At least for me, it works consistently every week. If I want pizza and it's Wednesday, I'll say, yeah, I want some pizza, but I'm going to go ahead and just keep doing what I got to do. When Saturday comes around, I'll have my pizza. I'll have 2 if I want to. And you know what? At the end of that week, I'll still have lost 2 pounds because I know this diet and I know how I react to it. And that's one of the great things about this diet is you can gauge how you're going to react. Now, of course, there's ups and downs, and that happens with any diet. Like I said, sometimes you'll bump up, sometimes you'll bump down, and you're not quite sure why. A lot of times it's just water weight, all the carbs. Sometimes they don't release as quickly by the end of the week that you think they should. And there are more mechanisms going on than calories in, calories out. We don't know everything that goes on yet. Calories in, calorie out is a good gauge, and a lot of people make excuses for being overweight by saying, I watch whatever. Most of that's bullshit, but when we get down to it, it is more than calories in, calories out. There are mechanisms that we still don't know exactly how they work. So go check out the anabolic diet, learn how it can help boost your testosterone, growth hormone, and regulate your insulin so you're able to gain muscle, even on a low-carb diet. Yeah, a low-carb diet, it's possible, and it's been done 20 years ago. They were doing this. This is nothing new. All this stuff about having to eat carbs all day long, it's bullshit. Anybody that tells you that hasn't looked at the science. Look at the science. So definitely check out the anabolic diet. Man, it's the absolute best thing out there, especially for me. Always check with your doctor, your healthcare professional, your nutritionist, whatever, thing I'm supposed to say so I don't get sued. I'll say that. And, it's a really great diet. It's easy to follow. Meat, you're going to be needing to eat meat anyway. Just eat meat, cheese, eggs. You can have protein powder. I like the Muscle Farm stuff just because it's low in carbohydrates. And if I'm only getting around 30 a day, I have to have something that's low. So, most Muscle Farm stuff has around 4. It's got fiber. I don't count the fiber. So that would be 3 net carbs, which is great. There's an assortment of vegetables that you can have. Cauliflower is great. Broccoli, salad with full fat salad dressing. Tomatoes are pretty good. Don't overdo it, of course. Cucumber, pickles, green beans. You put butter on those things. Use butter. Tuna's fine. Chicken's fine. Any cut. Beef, bacon, sausage, eggs, fried eggs, whole eggs, not whites, whole eggs. Take it easy. You can't really do milk, but like I said, cheese. You can do cottage cheese as long as you don't go crazy with it. But there's tons of things that you can eat all through the week. And one thing that I found is I don't get hungry, So that's all I wanted to say about the anabolic diet, which, again, my absolute favorite diet to follow, whether it's for cutting or gaining mass. It's absolutely brilliant. It can help give your body an anabolic environment, testosterone, growth hormone, insulin, regulate all those things so you can gain the most muscle with the least amount of fat, and you can lose the most fat while losing the least amount of muscle, which is something we all know those standard diets can't do unless you're also doping. There's no way it's going to happen. It's just not. Look at the studies. They are there. It's all in the science. Check out the anabolic diet.